Well, happy Thursday to you. I'm meteorologist Justin Gehrts, and thanks for joining us. We're at the 10 Weather Impact Show. Certainly has been active weather recently, but today is a very different scenario for us. So some good news in that regard. Of course, this time yesterday we were talking about still some of that lingering flooding going on, and thankfully none of the sort happening aside from some river flooding in a couple of spots. I'll detail that in just a little bit. In the meantime, while our weather is much quieter today, yesterday we were dealing with plenty of heavy rain and flooding. Communities across central Ohio still cleaning up this afternoon in some spots after a day filled with storms and flooding yesterday. This is just some of the video our crews captured just yesterday. It was a big old mess, street and road closures, folks getting stuck in some of that water that was covering the roadways. And we also talked to one Grove City woman who saw car after car drive through a flooded road in her neighborhood.
This is the worst that I've seen it. We moved into this house in June. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning from thunder and lightning, and it was just coming down, and it pretty much continued all day.
Yeah, also happening Wednesday, just get a look at this video from the Olentangy Caverns. The park had to close because of all the water coming in. You can see just how much water is running down those stairs and into the cavern grounds. Yeah, big mess there. And the caverns weren't the only park that had to shut down yesterday. In Gahanna, for example, Creekside Park, Pizzero Park, the Gahanna Municipal Golf Course, the Woodside Green Trails, and the bridge between Creekside and the golf course all closed. The Gahanna Golf Course has actually had to close for the past few days because the course is so wet. Yeah, big old mess there, and it's going to take some time for us to dry out, but eventually we will do so. You know, if you're thinking about doing some mowing because the grass has been growing like crazy with all the rain, today a little on the iffy side just because, of course, the ground may still be a little soft, a little squishy. However, I think starting tomorrow we should be dry enough that you can get out there and at least do some of that. Of course, some of the heavier mowing equipment is probably going to still leave some marks in the tracks there just because of the wet weather. But for your normal residential mower, I think you'll be in good shape, especially after today. Let's take a look at live radar right now and see how things are looking. Yeah, as I said, not much going on there. Certainly a sight for sore eyes, and we'll widen out that view. Not only is there no rain, there are hardly any clouds across the state at this point. Just seeing a few of those in the east central part of the state and a few high thin clouds down towards Cincinnati, and that is about all. Pretty much wall-to-wall sunshine for us this afternoon. That is a very welcome thing around here. Let's take a look at our top wettest Mays. No more rain the rest of the month, which ends on Sunday. So we're going to go down officially as number 4 for the fourth wettest month, or fourth wettest May on record, rather. A record 1882, and we had over 9.5 inches of rain, 9.11 in 1968. Third place, 8.69 in 2022, so just a few years ago. And then bumping down to 5th place now, 1886, with 7.67 inches of rain. Now, because of all that rain, some of our area rivers did come up just a little bit, but the good news is they're not going to stay up for long. The South Fork Licking River near Buckeye Lake, as it goes under I-70, that actually crested Thursday morning. It goes back below flood stage this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Scioto at Circleville, that's going to be cresting at 17.7 feet tonight and drops back below flood stage Saturday evening. Now, as far as how things are at the Scioto at Circleville, it's comparable flooding to what we had this past weekend. It's in minor flood stage, really only affecting lowland areas as things have been going along here. All right, so here's what we're watching. Tons of sunshine, no rain anytime soon, and we have plenty of comfortable weather ahead of us. In fact, here is the rainfall outlook over the next 7 days. Not much happening, just a big empty spot across the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and portions of the Mid-Atlantic. The reason for this, there's a blocking pattern setting up. So what's happening is the jet streamer, that river of air that kind of carries weather systems along, it's going to be going way up into Canada, then back around to our east, and underneath it, there's just not much happening, which is absolutely what we need, because after all the rain we've had over the past month or so, we do need that break. Current temperatures, they're rising nicely. We're at 77 in Columbus right now. In fact, just about everybody across central Ohio is in the 70s. We'll come up probably a couple more degrees into the afternoon, then drop back into the 50s overnight. Here's your planner for the next 12 hours. Peaking probably around 79, 7 o'clock this evening, 73, back in the 60s this evening as the sun goes down. And again, we're starting in the 50s for the morning tomorrow. Now, part of the reason we have these pleasantly cool mornings ahead of us is because there's no mugginess. The dew point is kind of the basement level for our low temperatures. When it's very muggy, we have warmer overnight lows. When the air is dry, we can get cooler, and that's exactly what we have coming up here. Your mugginess forecast shows dew points, or the measure of moisture in the air, in the comfortable level, in the 50s. Not just the next couple of days, but straight into next week. So some fine weather there. In addition, our temperatures are going to be very nice too. Here's a look at our forecast highs compared to average. There you see every day is in the mid to upper 70s, and that's pretty much where we should be to wrap up May and go into June. Of course, sometimes we have a lot of heat and humidity. This time around, nothing of the sort. You honestly couldn't get much nicer weather for this time of year. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast, and you'll notice not much happening. Here's 6 p.m. This evening looks great. In fact, as we just roll along here, about the only thing you'll see going on for most of this is just the clock ticking. Here's 8 o'clock Friday morning. Easy getting off to school and work for those who do still have school yet tomorrow. Into Friday evening, 6 p.m., a lot of sunshine out there. I strongly suspect a lot of the restaurants with outdoor patios are going to be pretty busy tomorrow. I suspect that'll be the case on Saturday, too. Here's Saturday morning. We'll pause here at 8 a.m. Farmers markets. No weather issues. I know we've had some problems with some rain on some of the past few Saturday mornings. Not an issue this time around, and going throughout the day on Saturday, there you see plenty of sunshine. Again, any evening plans, weather is not going to be an issue for you. All right, here is your 7-day forecast. As we do see, again, 79 for a high today, 51 tomorrow morning, 78 in the afternoon, mid-50s to start our day both Saturday and Sunday. So if you are going out to any farmers markets early on this weekend, do keep in mind maybe a hooded sweatshirt or a jacket wouldn't be bad if you're one of the early folks out there. But temperatures, they take off pretty quick. And again, in the mid-70s for a high this afternoon, or rather in the afternoons this weekend. Next week, looking at a mostly sunny sky Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as highs get back into the upper 70s toward the middle of next week. There is going to be a weak disturbance that tries to rotate through Monday night. I think at this point, given all the stuff that I've been looking at, just not enough moisture, probably an increase in clouds than that at that point, but honestly does not look like any sort of rain issue at that point. And even if there were, we're talking sprinkles or a light shower. But right now, I'm going to go with a dry forecast across the area for the next 7 days. All right, well, thankfully, we aren't looking at any more heavy rain in our upcoming forecast, as you saw there. But yesterday, Ohio was not the only spot dealing with the flooding impacts. Check this out. This is from Charlotte, North Carolina, showing what happened after heavy rains washed out a road in Hickory, leaving behind this massive sinkhole. This is on one of those streets called 39th Avenue Drive Northwest. North Carolina DOT is advising all drivers in that area to take detours until they can repair the road. And a good example of why we say don't drive across flooded roads, because even if it's not very deep, what's underneath could be an issue. All right, this was the flooding in Lawrence County, South Carolina, Tuesday night. According to the County Emergency Management, the flooding impacted both Lawrence and Clinton County there. Multiple roads were closed due to the flooding. And speaking of flooding, a rescue effort is underway in Laos to rescue 7 villagers stuck in caves. It's believed they became trapped after flooding sealed off the exits. Rescuers located 5 of the 7 on Wednesday. Reed Binion has more.
Rescuers on Wednesday located 5 of the 7 villagers trapped in a flooded cave in the landlocked Southeast Asian nation of Laos. They were found alive.
So next 5, I take them one by one.
Getting those individuals out is the next phase, which rescuers said they hoped to begin Thursday, while continuing the search for 2 more people still missing. The villagers entered the cave more than a week ago in search of gold, but heavy rain triggered flash flooding which blocked the exit. Specialist cave divers were brought in for the harrowing mission of locating and extracting the villagers.
There's no maps of this place. Diving is so difficult with restrictions where you can't move, turn around, or do, and the visibility is 0.
Rescuers encountering toxic hydrogen sulfide gas and issues deploying a pump into the cave to supply fresh air. Support teams working to pump as much water out of the cave system as possible to help speed up the rescue and perhaps lower water levels enough to allow the survivors to crawl out themselves if it's safer than extraction. The 5 survivors located Wednesday were found atop the highest non-submerged area they could find, a chamber deep underground.
There's a terminal chamber. It has an elevated dry section. It's quite high, so there's gas to breathe for a few days at least.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
some news about our environment. With summer festival and event season upon us, a bathroom break could soon help reduce waste instead of adding to it. Scientists in the UK are collecting as much urine as they can from big events like music festivals and marathons. They're using bacteria-powered technology to turn it into fertilizer. The startup behind the concept is calling it P-cycling.
Instead of it having to go to sewage, we process the urine, collect the nutrients from it, and stop it becoming a waste source.
All right, since urine contains the same key nutrients as fertilizer, the company says the process could cut pollution, reduce reliance on imports, and support more sustainable farming. Well, it's not the heart of event season, though, but it is also going to be boating season. And with boating season back in a big way, the DNR is worried about something small that can hitch a ride. Uba Ali introduces us to a special canine with a powerful nose to help protect our lakes and rivers.
Boats are back out across the state. But along with people on the water comes a growing concern.
Zebra mussel is spreading, so we have to do something better.
In fact, Minnesota's DNR says more than 370 of our lakes and rivers are already infested.
Zebra mussels are everywhere in Minnesota, and our main focus here is just to try to slow it down. Prevention is, it's very hard to do, but if we can slow down and talk to boaters so they're not spread to other lakes, that's kind of our primary focus.
The tiny species can latch onto boats and trailers, then spread quickly from lake to lake, pushing out native species, damaging boats, and clogging pipes. Now there's a new nose helping track them down.
These dogs come to us with no training whatsoever. We have to teach them everything from basic obedience to detection work.
Matt Broden is Canine Molly's handler and helped train her to sniff out invasive species. And Molly is already helping spot what boaters might miss, like these zebra mussels attached to a pontoon.
We were able to prevent him from going inside and launching that boat into the St. Croix to be able to prevent the spread.
Officials also want to remind boaters a few simple steps to follow every time they leave the water.
Clean, drain, dry is the way that we can start preventing it.
In Stillwater, Uba Ali, WCCO News.
As they say, stop those aquatic hitchhikers. Now moving on to outer space, let's check out some new video from the International Space Station. 2 Russian cosmonauts conducted a spacewalk on the ISS on Wednesday. According to NASA, the International Space Station Expedition 74 commander and flight engineer installed, quote, a solar radiation experiment on the Zvezda service module and removed other science hardware from the Poisk and Nauka modules of the orbiting complex's Roscosmos segment. The pair was also set to photograph one of the Progress 94 cargo spacecraft's Kurs rendezvous antennas, which failed to deploy in March following its launch to the space station. All right, and staying with space, NASA has its eyes on the moon and plans to create a base occupying hundreds of square miles there. Riding on the success of the Artemis II mission, the space agency is working on the development of a moon base, a 3-phase lunar exploration and infrastructure initiative. The goal is to enable humans to maintain a presence on the south pole of the moon and expand scientific and commercial activity there.
With Moonbase, Artemis astronauts will stay longer, explore farther, and conduct the kinds of science that advances exploration itself.
We want to be in an environment where we can learn the skills so that astronauts can go and plant the stars and stripes on Mars someday.
NASA announced several corporate partnerships, including U.S. Using Blue Origin to deliver the first lunar terrain vehicle. The Artemis IV mission, which is set for 2028, will be NASA's first crewed mission with a lunar landing since the Apollo landing in 1972. All right, and finally, a Hawthorne, California-based startup is launching a plan to send giant mirrors into space. The goal? Reflect sunlight to use during nighttime. The company's founder tells CBS LA's Rena Nakano this clean energy project is close to becoming a reality.
The rocket launches straight up that way.
Ben Nowak has been tinkering with things since he was a little boy.
I was hunting for a big project, something that would really help the world.
Each project became more and more complex, but one day he got in big trouble.
Dad was pretty mad because I used an entire megawatt hour of electricity. And I started thinking, am I the reason that we have the climate crisis?
An internship at SpaceX inspired him to try to solve the crisis.
Solar would be the best energy source if only it worked at night. These little doors flip out.
Now 29, he's the co-founder of Reflect Orbital, a Hawthorne-based startup that aims to redirect sunlight back to Earth to use at night.
We are providing control over sunlight with satellites with very large mirrors on them.
Think of this reflective material as a space-grade potato chip bag that gets folded up into the size of a shoebox in a satellite.
Here we can see how big the satellite is when it's all unfolded in space.
Once deployed, it springs into a 60 by 60 foot mirror that reflects a 3-mile wide circle down on Earth.
NOAC tells me there are plenty of applications for this redirected sunlight.
Solar farms can charge at night, plants can grow, and construction continue 24 hours and even assist search and rescue operations.
If somebody falls overboard in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and you're trying to find them, you can just hit a button on a satellite. The whole area around those search and rescue operators are lit up, and it's going to make it a lot easier to find that person.
Reflect Orbital has garnered nearly $30 million from investors and more than 260,000 applications from companies wanting to use its services. But not everyone is quite on board.
The light pollution impact is a detour and disruptor to migration.
Migration ecologist Dr. Andrew Farnsworth worries unnatural sunlight would disorient birds, cause collisions, and may destroy circadian rhythms, which may lead to higher mortality rates.
I would just love to see a company like this one that has a really intriguing idea to do the environmental impact, not in a way that derails the company and derails the concept, but in a way that helps it and makes it better even than it is.
This is the largest seaborne invasion in history. Fate of the war, thousands of lives hinge on this. I need a forecast.
Well, if you had not seen yet, Pressure is debuting tomorrow. It's about the meteorologist who saved D-Day. The film explores the tense 72 hours before D-Day, highlighting the crucial role of Scottish meteorologist Captain James Stagg. He advised General Dwight D. Eisenhower and Allied leadership to delay the invasion due to bad weather. This decision changed the course of the war. Brendan Fraser plays Eisenhower, while Andrew Scott plays Stagg. The film emphasizes leadership and the importance of listening to expert advice, resonating with today's challenges. I know that is on my list of movies to see. It's pretty cool to see that kind of behind-the-scenes look at the D-Day invasion is a very familiar thing in our popular culture. Of course, a lot of movies and books written about it, but the weather aspect of it that was crucial with the whole event, not getting as much attention. So it's cool to see a movie being made about that. Like I said, I will be definitely checking that out. All right, now for our traditional Check This Out segment, turning back to weather, locals and tourists flocked to Rome's fountains to cool off Wednesday as Italy was facing its first heat wave of the year, with northern and central regions among the hardest hit by temperatures exceeding 34 to 35 degrees Celsius in several cities. That's actually in the 90s for those who don't necessarily know the metric system. First signs of relief could emerge on Thursday when rainfalls are expected to bring temperatures back down. Now, to prevent the risks associated with high temperatures, the mayor of Rome signed on Wednesday a measure requiring employers in the construction and agricultural sectors to provide breaks in cool areas during those hottest hours. Finally, severe supercell thunderstorms moved through Mexico on Tuesday. Video captured shared with CNN shows a large dusty tornado blowing through the region. The tornado appeared to track through a sparsely populated area. CNN spoke with Enrique Guerrero, who filmed the video, and no major injuries or structural damage have been reported so far as of May 26th. Yeah, tornadoes can happen pretty much anywhere. Of course, they're most common in the U.S., but even in other parts of the world, they can certainly happen. Thankfully, no more active weather is in our forecast for quite some time. As we look at that 7-day forecast once more, if we're able to, we do have a mostly sunny sky ahead for not just today or tomorrow or the next day, but each of the next 7 days. A nice stretch ahead coming up for us. In fact, this will be our driest stretch of weather in about 6 weeks' time. We haven't been able to go more than about 3 or 4 days with completely dry weather, so this is a long time coming. Great news, too, is it's not accompanied by unusual cool temperatures or unusually warm temperatures. Mugginess won't be a factor for us either, so something to really look forward to as we go throughout the next 7 days. As I mentioned earlier, any of those outdoor events going on or outdoor patios at any of the restaurants across the region, going to be probably pretty busy, especially coming up Friday and Saturday night. And of course, farmers markets and other things going on. We'll not have any weather issues happening. I also know some of the youth sports leagues that have been going on, they've had many cancellations of events like soccer games and baseball games due to weather. Don't have to worry about that for the next several days either. All right, well, that's it for us here with this weather update here on 10 TV Plus. Make sure you join us on 10 TV at 4 o'clock and throughout the afternoon into the evening hours. Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer has the latest forecast and gets you ready for a very nice weekend of weather. In the meantime, anytime you need a forecast, just check out the 10 TV app or head on over to 10tv.com. Have a great afternoon.